On today's show, we have an opportunity to welcome one of my absolute favorite people in the world, who just so happens to be one of the most amazing spiritual teachers in the world. So it works out really well.
Well, I'm excited because you have talked about her so much.
Yeah, and you finally get a chance to meet her.
Finally.
I'm excited for that as well. However, we almost lost her twice. Yeah, we almost lost her twice. And she's here today to share the story of her second near-death experience with us.
Wow.
And she's going to help us understand that the power is truly within us.
Perfect.
You're a regular listener. You already know Leora Leone. You've heard her first interview from way back when we first got started. Then you heard her again when she so graciously gifted me with a past life regression session. Well, she's back again today to share some more eye-opening wisdom with us from her latest book, which was just released, The Power's in You. Welcome to the show, Leora Leone.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be on and to meet Karen. And
You had your second near-death experience, right? Tell us
right.
about that.
Well, the first one I told you about, I was young and I had a boating accident. I was underwater, left my body for over 20 minutes. And I just downloaded the entire multiverse information without knowing what it was. And then that changed the course of my life. In April, I had been going through a very serious situation that left me devastated. And I was having a really difficult time getting through it. And everything that I teach, I was doing, of course, but I kept going in and out of depression. And I seemed like I couldn't get through it no matter what I did. My daughter and I and some friends, we went to Italy and we got back from Italy. And you know, the long trip, it's like 24 hours of flying and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 days after I get back, probably still jet lagged and everything, I like to hike. And I said to my daughter, let's go hiking because that's what we do on Saturdays. And so we go to Griffith Park and there's the old zoo that they have there. It's really beautiful. And it was a hot day, like 91, and it's near Pasadena. So if you know Pasadena weather, it's just baking hot. And I don't like hot weather for some reason. But anyhow, it kept getting hotter and hotter. And, she and I were talking about the situation I was in, and I was just really, really upset and I couldn't get through it. And so I'm going up the hill and stopping and breathing and drinking water and going up further. And I you know what? We get up so far. And I said, I have to sit down, Nick. And she's like, okay. So I sit down and I'm using my Apple Watch, my blood pressure's fine and everything. And I'm like, okay. So I was feeling better and I said, okay, I'm going to get up. And so I go, help me up. And so she grabs my hand and pulls me up. And all of a sudden, everything starts to close in and I go, I'm going down. And boom, the next minute I knew I'm out of my body and I'm at peace and I'm so happy. And I knew I had just died and I didn't care. I didn't care that I left behind my daughter. I didn't care that anything. I was so relieved to get out of this lifetime that I was happy. And far off in the distance, I could hear screaming like, Mom, Mom, like really loud screaming. And a voice told me, they said, your daughter cannot handle it now if you die. And I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden I went, whoosh, and I went right back into my body. And I come back in. I'm like, what, is there a bug on me? And she's like, Mom, you were seizing. So I was having a literal seizure. My eyes were bugged out. My tongue was out and I was shaking. And I thought I had just passed out when I came back in. I told her what happened and she's all angry because, you're not going hiking ever again. And yeah. And I'm like, let's just go down the hill. And so we get down the hill and I had a headache and I knew it was probably heat stroke. I wasn't worried because I knew what it was. I knew that I had died and I had come back. So I knew it was a wake up call. And so that night I went to bed. I get up in the morning and my life shifted. All of the stress that I had been under was irrelevant. All of a sudden I was like, I know what I'm going to do. A, B, C, D, E. And I was like, thank you. Then I just started to live my life and enjoy my life and be really, really happy. I think that I'm at a point spiritually or whatever you want to say, where my guides, it's almost like I have, who's the wizard in Harry Potter, the great one. Yeah, I've got him up, it's actually me. That's our divine self. It's always talking to you. And now it's like, look if you don't get out of this crap of 3 months of depression, we're going to knock you out and we're going to make you realize what you're doing in your life. And that's actually what happened.